Look who it is. Hey? Look who it is. Look at Who? Hey. Here you go. Well, is everybody happy again? Huh? Hey, big happy family? This weather sucks. This fog sucks. I'm over it. Just went and trimmed the horse's feet up. Did Christmas shopping the other day and all the chaos. Witnessed all the chaos, witnessed all the insanity. It's my only escape. It's kind of weird. It's just weird trying to, when you're, it's almost like a transition, you know, when you go from a couple months of running around the mountains, being free, being healthy as healthy can be, and then and having every minute of your day taken up doing what you love to do. And then all of a sudden it's over. And it's just a weird transition to go from living like basically like a wild person, a wild, free, healthy person, and then all of a sudden you're back to all this, dealing with the world, dealing with what's going on in everyday regular life, and then taking on the task of helping as many people as you can too. Yeah, it's just a weird transition time for me. I need adventure. I need things to do outside. I need to go and do cool stuff and see stuff and film stuff. And this shitty weather and having your hands tied is really something else to get to swallow. I'll tell you what. But anyway, here we go. What do we got? Hey brother, my name is J.W. McKinney from the Mississippi Delta. Grew up hunting river bottoms and swamps at the age of 8. Felt that fear first at age 10, and many times thereafter, always knowing it was not my imagination. Always knowing that old 2 Feet was just out of sight. Oh, I read this one. What do we got? Hey Steve, love the videos and appreciate the outlet. Keep it rolling. I'll get right to it. I'm an avid hunter, archery mostly. Been hunting in the same parcel of land for over a decade. Never had a problem. Wasn't seeing any deer movements for the first time in a long while. This is back in 2018. Decided to change it up since I was having consecutive unsuccessful hunts and went to the National Forest in northern Pennsylvania to do some public hunting. Started early and hiked for a good bit, doing mostly still hunting. Lean on a tree, then move on to the next. All day passed, not much of an occurrence. I got desperate and stayed out a little late. Had to use my headlamp to get back to the truck. During the way back, I could hear something off in the woods. I couldn't place its exact location in the total darkness that was settling in, and I had to just focus on getting back to the truck. After about 20 minutes of fast-paced walking, I got hit with what felt like a small rock. I turned around and looked for the culprit. My headlamp only shined about 20 yards in the dark. It was enough that I saw eyes shining back at me. They were not close to the ground at all, which startled me more than just seeing eyes looking at me. I could hear some breathing, too. I turned with my bow in hand and started to run the path to get to my truck. I could hear whatever it was following me. I don't know how to say this, but if it wanted me, it could have taken me because it ran all around while I tried to keep a good pace. I made it to the truck location and started hitting the unlock button immediately to have the lights light up the night till I could get to it. It was making me feel better. In front of my truck was one of these things, though my lights blinked onto him. It looked like a mountain of a man covered in hair, and I know this might sound strange, but it looked like it had wings. Whatever. It could have just been large humps on his back, and I swear I could outline them. The lights don't stay on, and I wasn't going to light it up to see it again. I freaked out. I didn't know what to do, so I ran behind some trees and laid in the pitch black, tried to control my breathing. I thought I was going to vomit. I could hear noises still in the woods and all around me and by my truck. To make a long story short, I hit the alarm button on my keys, which commenced beeping really loud, and I built up my courage and ran towards the truck, yelling crazy words. I made it to the truck and jumped inside. I put the keys in the ignition and cranked it into drive. After all that pulling off the dirt road from the National Forest and back into civilization was unreal, was surreal. Never told anybody what happened that night. What's the point? It happened. I keep to my normal land now and try to get up before it gets too dark. Something watches us and we have no clue. Take care, Ed. Ed, that is a frickin' scary ass experience. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Well, hopefully you can find some sort of comfort knowing that you're not alone and you're not losing your shit. And obviously this has happened to a lot of people, right? So, again, all I can say to you is whatever that was that ran into you, it didn't want to kill you, and it didn't. Otherwise, it would have had your ass. And that is one of the main points I think everybody's trying to concentrate on and accept is no matter how scary of an experience it is, what they do to scare the shit out of you or intimidate you, take note that that's not the action of a true killer. It's just not. If these were full-on human predators, you wouldn't hear nothing. Not a chance. You'd just be dead. Okay? So, above all, first off, just try to accept that fact alone, and that's going to help you greatly with the next time you decide to go out and enjoy your passion with the outdoors, which I strongly suggest you do anyway. Unless it's obviously something's like really, really intimidating, scaring the crap out of you. People are going missing in your community, and you narrowly escaped getting physically harmed. You know, I mean, I don't want to go encouraging people to throw themselves in the line of absolute death or dismemberment, but I don't know. I mean, I'm one of those people, right? I still go. So let's see what else we can add to this one. Hello, Steve. I found your show last November while recovering from back surgery. It's given me the balls to speak up. I've lived in Central Florida and Southwest Florida all my life, hunting, fishing, growing stuff in the woods. LOL, growing up with very little. I made the most of great outdoors, usually barefoot with a bow or fishing rod in my hand. When I was 12 or so, bow hunting near DeLand, Florida, I noticed a funky, stanky stink in the piney woods. The stink went away after a bit, and then I noticed a dead animal in a tree fork of a jack pine, 12 to 14 feet up. Jack pines are very brittle, and man cannot climb a jack pine without the narrow branches breaking off. It was a raccoon that was turned inside out. No guts, no flesh, but its head was still inside, like a gym sock, when you fold them up. There were no marks in the tree at all, so I know a Florida panther didn't bring it up there. Something had to place it there. I believe the thing killed it, then pulled its neck through its butt, turning it inside out, and then ate the meat. No bones at all anywhere. It was super weird. I lived near the Myakka River, M-Y-A-K-K-A River, in Southwest Florida. There have been some weird sightings and pictures taken from here, and some of them are very interesting to say the least. But by far my most scary experience was only 4 years ago near the Carlton Preserve in Northport, Florida. Myself and two friends were walking to a hunting spot to archery hunt for hogs. I was hunting for coyotes. I love coyote hunting. It was 100% dark. Walking down a game trail, my sixth sense told me to stop. I grabbed my friend's arm in front of me. He did the same to the other friend. You could hear a pin drop then. 10 minutes earlier, you could hear two different packs of coyotes yipping across the forest at each other. But now it was really weird quiet. Then I heard breathing. Deep, steady breathing in and out, and it was very, very close, maybe 10 feet away. Ugh. We all heard it. It was coming from something huge, deep and steady. My friend went for his flashlight as he heard it too. We all did. As we went for his light, a thought entered my head as if something spoke to me and said, "Don't do it." That really weirded me out, and I grabbed my friend's arm and pushed it down so he couldn't turn on his light. We backed out of there as quietly as we could and went into the area from a different direction. Something also grabbed my hogs I had shot before in this area. Sometimes the hogs are way too big to drag out by yourself, so I'd make a call to a friend for free hog meat. Just come and pick them up and meet me at such and such trailhead. 4 times I've shot hogs and looked at dead bodies, even took photos, and with 1 or 2 hours later came back and they're gone. No boot tracks anywhere either. There is no way someone could have slipped in behind me, grabbed 250-pound hogs, and leave without me either seeing them or hearing them, or their ATV and truck, etc. Something takes my game kills. It got to the point where I would sit beside the hogs until the pickup guy come and got them. But probably the weirdest thing of all is, for some reason, I know I have had a personal encounter, but I cannot remember it. I know it's in there, my head, but I can't seem to pull it out. If anybody spent enough time in the woods to see something, it would be me. Cracker boys are what we're called in school due to running in the woods, running airboats, barefoot, and grabbing gators, snakes, and anything else you could eat, except armadillos. It seems like there's a wall inside my head when I try to remember any big hairy things in the woods, other than certain redneck girls, LOL. Maybe it's a PTSD trauma or something, but I won't let it shrink in there to find out, or make me cluck like a chicken whenever I hear a bell ring. I pray for those who got the shit scared out of them, who have had these encounters. I know I would never want that in my I know I would never want that in my dreams at night. Keep up the good fight, my friend, and hit me up if you ever want some fine tarpon fishing from my boat in Boca Grande Pass. The invite is yours to enjoy. Jeff Reeves, Venice, Florida. P.S. The pics are from a lady in Maca City, Florida. She sent the pics to Saratoga County Sheriff complaining about an orangutan eating her fruit off her back porch. She wanted the sheriff to get the owner out of the orangutan to come pick it up. This is a 100% true story. Yeah, I'll post up the pictures. Those pictures are definitely well known, and that fact is, and those photos have been around for quite some time. And that thing in the photo, well, no matter whatever that thing is, who needs that thing bearing down on the woods, right? And obviously, you know, in Florida, there's no shortage of sightings going on in Florida. There's hundreds of them. There's thousands of them. And I've hunted in Florida a couple times. Spring turkey hunting. But I'll tell you what, Sasquatch was definitely on my mind every time we went into that frickin' jungle and cut through the jungle in the dark to get set up to hunt those Osceolas. Osceolas, isn't it? Osceolas? They're in Florida? Anyway, it was turkeys we were hunting. And I can see how stuff can easily survive down there and not be seen if it was intelligent enough to stay hidden. Or, even more bizarre yet, if they could just come and go at random from our planet, or from this vibration, or whatever you want to call it, whatever's going on, popping in and out of portals, whatever it is. Florida's definitely a good candidate area to have that going on, right? Okay, I'm starting to freeze. What do we got? Hi, Steve. Your first email you shared in your video today was about an experience on Mount Pilchuck in Washington State. I also had a very strange experience while camping on Mount Pilchuck. I believe my story has possible missing 411 implications. Here it is. This experience happened to me in 2011 while camping near Mount Pilchuck, east of Granite Falls, Washington State. Mount Pilchuck is one of the largest mountains in the area and has a main trail going all the way to the top. can be seen on a clear day from Seattle and is beautiful to behold. Although it may be a beautiful place, it certainly has an odd feeling to the surrounding area. Having hiked and camped on the mountain several times, it has always had an ominous feel to it, especially at night. During the spring of 2011, I decided to take my 8-year-old son camping over a weekend and chose Mount Pilchuck to explore. While driving up the mountain, there was various turnoffs of old, abandoned logging roads that led away from the mountain and that go on for miles and miles. I decided to take one of these old roads and see where I went. It went on for miles and no place to turn around. After about 20 minutes of driving, we finally came to a point in the road where there was a steep drop-off to the north and a steep hill going up the south and a tree bent over the road in an upside-down U-shape that blocked further travel. Thankfully, there was enough space about 100 feet in front of the tree to be able to carefully turn around. Before we did that, we drove right up to the strange tree that was bent over the road. We got out of the car to take a look around and examine it. I have to say, first off, that as soon as we got out of the car, I felt like we were being watched. We walked up to the tree and I had noticed something on the ground, on the road, right in front of it. It was woman's clothing, a pink jacket, denim pants, underwear, and a shirt. Ooh, that's not good. It seemed intentionally placed. Looking at the clothing and looking around just made my skin crawl. Now this is before David Paulides' first books on missing 411 came out. But I was still aware of all the missing people in the National Forest under strange circumstances from my own research into the matter. But it wasn't at the forefront of my mind as is today. So the clothing, being this far out in the middle of nowhere, was very strange and creepy. I kept how I felt to myself as I didn't want to possibly scare my little boy. I said to my son, let's walk further down the road past the tree. So we bent under the tree and started walking. Immediately, we both felt really strange, like we were walking on someone else's property and we both got the chills. My son said, let's go back, and I was happy to oblige. As soon as we got back to the other side of the tree, it felt much better and safer. It was really strange. My son's suggestion, he pointed out a nice little place off the side of the road where we could pitch our tent for the night, and after feeling it out with my intuition, I felt it was not an ideal place, but it was safe enough. Uh-oh. I really was uneasy about it, but I also knew that I had a habit of psyching myself out of camping because of my past experiences with Sasquatch. I asked how my son felt. He was very intuitive, even at that young age. You know what, I'll take a second out. I think that all of us are very intuitive naturally at a young age, and it gets wiped out of us intentionally as soon as we get thrown into that frickin' indoctrination of the school system. That's what I feel. Might be wrong, but I doubt it. And he said he felt fine with camping here, so that was good enough for me. We set up camp and started a fire. Had a nice meal and enjoyed the experience of it all. I still felt like we were being watched that whole time, but did not feel threatening or overly ominous. The sun set and we settled down to sleep in our tent for the night. My son fell asleep fairly quickly, but I stayed up just listening to the light drizzle that began and that lasted the entire night. At some point I fell asleep and awoke in the middle of the night to buzzing sounds in my ears, and I could not move. I could open my eyes, but I could not make any sounds or move any part of my body. The moon must have been fairly full, as there was enough light during the night to be able to see just a little. I became frightened because although I was awake, I was not able to move whatsoever. As I was laying there unable to move, I heard footsteps come walking from the south side of the tent, where the road and the inclining hill was, and the steps came right up to the tent. As I was laying there unable to move, I sensed pressure on the tent and felt like what seemed like hands pressing down onto my feet from outside the tent. Like whatever it was, knew where my feet were and pressed down from the outside and applied maybe 20 plus pounds of pressure to my feet and ankles. I was absolutely petrified and tried my hardest to cry out to my son, who was sleeping peacefully right next to me. The buzzing sound in my ears was almost deafening. After about 10 seconds of this pressure on my feet, I felt it let off and heard the tent move back to normal position, and the footsteps walked away to the north, down the steep embankment. About 10 or 15 seconds after the footsteps could no longer be heard, the paralysis suddenly disappeared and I could move again. I sat up in a frenzy, grabbed my machete that I always take with me in the wild, and chucked at my son. He was sound asleep and seemed fine. I sat up trying to process what in the hell just happened to me and tried to figure out if what I had experienced was just a dream or not. I did get my flashlight and looked outside the tent for a bit, but saw no indications of anything or unusual or any tracks. So I sat up for quite some time after that, just listening. trying to hear anything like footsteps, but eventually I ended up falling asleep again after convincing myself that it must have just been a very strange dream. Sometime later that night, I woke up again with buzzing in my ears and unable to move for a second time. I was laying on my back, and although I could not move, I could still move my eyes. I desperately tried to call to my son to wake him up, thinking that if I could wake him up, we could somehow snap me out of this paralysis. I could let out the tiniest moan, but that was it. And then I heard footsteps again and saw the silhouette of something moving outside the tent, and then the tent being pressed down and the pressure on my feet and ankles. This time it felt like large hands pressing directly down. I was screaming inside and did everything I could to break free, but I could not. Then, after what seemed like minutes, but probably seconds, the pressure released off my legs and the tent popped back to its normal position, and I heard footsteps again walking off down the steep incline toward the mountain, down the mountain to the north. I then snapped out of it and again sat up in a frenzy and tried to process everything that just had happened. After checking my son, who seemed fine, I had to make the decision whether or not to stay or not. I did not want to go out there in that rain, in the darkness, and in some ways I felt safer inside a little tent than going out and jumping in the car, which is only 30 feet away. I made the decision to stay close. I made the decision to stay and face this fear and wasn't going to let myself be scared away. Well, that takes a big set. Holy shit. Besides, I still wasn't convinced that it wasn't a strange dream, but after happening twice in a row, I wasn't so sure. Regardless, I decided not to pack up and to stick it out. My intuition was not screaming at me to leave, so I felt like I needed to stick it out. Again, after quite a while sitting up and listening to the gentle rain, I soon fell asleep. The next thing I remember was waking up a little, where you are, half asleep, half awake, and notice lights coming down the logging road towards us. Like another vehicle is coming down the road towards the bent tree. And I remember seeing lights outside passing by the tent and continuing down the road past the tree. I remember thinking to myself that it was strange that they did not turn around because there is not any way anyone could drive past the tree. I don't know why this didn't wake me up as being fully conscious. I would have jumped up and looked outside to have in a heartbeat, but I didn't. I fell back asleep again. I was awakened again a third time with buzzing in my ears and unable to move. Everything happened just like before, although I was laying on my right side again. Same footsteps, same pressure through the tent and on my feet. Same walking away and then the paralysis instantly disappearing. Thankfully, after this last event, I could tell dawn was just starting, so I immediately started packing up everything I could. When it became light enough outside to see the car without a flashlight, I got my son up, put him in the car, locked it, and then quickly took down the tent, threw everything in the trunk as quick as I could, got out of there. Before I left, though, I looked all over carefully to see if I could see any tracks or anything else, and there was nothing. Later on that day, after getting home, I called the Snohomish County Sheriff's Department, non-emergency number, and told them about the strange clothing I found, and they gave me the number to the sheriff deputy who was assigned to patrolling Mount Pilchuck State Park. I called him and had a fascinating 2-hour conversation with this man. I'll withhold his name, but when I told him about the strange woman's clothing, he seemed very interested in this and could tell he was taking quite a bit of notes. During our conversation, we talked about all kinds of interesting things, but he told me about a homeless man who's living near the bottom of the mountain at Mount Pilchuck State Park, and that although he was homeless, he did not seem mentally unfit or doing drugs at all. Well, they found this naked body deceased at the very top of the mountain. After recovering the body, they visited his little camp, and it looked like the clothes that he was wearing were actually folded and laid out. But the strange thing was that his feet were not dirty and seemed to be marked up at all, as you expect if somebody walked up an entire mountain barefoot. When I asked him how the homeless man died, he said that an apparent case was from exposure, even though it was in the middle of the summer when it happened. When I first heard David Politis on Coast to Coast AM back in 2012 on his first Missing 411 interview, I immediately thought of that poor homeless man. I did not tell him about my strange experience the night before, but I did ask him if he had ever gotten any calls from people seeing Sasquatch on the mountain, and he responded in a very surprising way, "Oh yeah, it happens quite regularly," like it was no big deal to him. I asked him if he believed in Sasquatch, and again he said, "Oh, they're definitely real," in a real nonchalant way. Yet it gave me the impression that he did not want to elaborate on that. He seemed very open and honest and was surprisingly willing to talk and answer my questions. I gave him explicit directions to the woman's clothes, and he told me they were going to check it out, and if they came across anything further regarding clothing, they would give me a call. However, he never did. Now I feel this is the strangest part of the whole thing. Out of sheer curiosity, about a week later, I decided to go back to Mount Pilchuck and see if the clothes were still there. Going up the winding mountain road, I finally came to the turnoff where the old logging road was that I had gone down and had been completely sealed off. Not just with a gate or a concrete barricade, but with tons and tons of rock and gravel, at least 6 feet high from the original road, and it went back at least 100 feet. They completely obliterated the area so nothing could get back in there, at least with vehicles. There were signs posted that said no trespassing or hiking allowed. Was it all just a coincidence? Was it related? I have a distinct feeling that it was definitely related. I think they knew something bad was happening back in that section of woods, and they did everything they could to cut it off for anyone to venture down. This, along with the missing 411 case, it's all very strange. This past summer, my son and a bunch of his friends wanted to go up Mount Pilchuck at night, after I told them about my experience there. You know how kids are. They wanted to get freaked out a little bit and wanted me to take them up as a group and see if anything happens. We went about halfway up the mountain to where a main trailhead is, and we just sat and listened. We did get out and went in the woods a little ways, but stayed close together as a group, as I educated them all about missing 401. We started hearing voices in the woods, indistinct, mumbling voices just out of range of the flashlights. It was enough for the kids to get sufficiently spooked, and we headed back down the mountain in a hurry. There's definitely something out in those woods. I don't know if it's a Sasquatch that did that to me in the tent, as I have no proof it was, but my gut tells me that it was them, and their message was telling me to definitely not move beyond that point. Like the pressure on my feet was saying, don't walk any further. Was it them protecting us? If so, from what? It is all very strange, and I have many questions. Thanks for all you do, and much love, John Blatt. Oh, thank you, John. I know who you are, and thank you for emailing me again. And I understand that you do have a lot of experience with these beings and a lot of experiences. So that's a humdinger of a story, and I hope possibly you could email David Pilatus too, and share this email with him, or I'll forward it to him. And I think it may be of interest to him possibly too, all right? But anyway, I'm freezing. This fog and moist air is cutting through me, and I gotta get going. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the full month of December loaded up with emails out before I go away, and I think I'm getting there. But thanks again, John, for emailing, and don't hesitate to email back again with more information you can share with us too, all right? Because it's coming in very, very handy for many people.